Eleanor Roosevelt, do solemnly swear.
I, Dwight D. Eisenhower, do solemnly swear.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution.
The Constitution of the United States. So help me God.
5 questions. Number 1, did Biden and Harris state the correct oath of office when being sworn in? Number 2, did Obama take the correct oath of office when being sworn in? Number 3, who wrote the executive oath of office? Number 4, does the president-elect have to take the oath to become president? Number 5, A, when exactly does the official termination of the office and the presidential duties of the President of the United States take place? 5B, when exactly does the official assumption of office and the presidential duties of the President of the United States start? 5C, should we be unyieldingly fanatic about holding to these time points? Thank you for joining us for this episode of Our Constitution in the News. I'm Mark David Smith. This report will be about the oath of office. I use several internet articles for my research and base outline in this report. I'll list them at the end, and you can find the detail of these references on the Messianic Lamb Network.com website. And now for my research on the oath of office. An oath is defined as either a statement of fact or a promise with wording relating to something considered sacred, as a sign of true principle or belief, especially one of fundamental importance. Affirmation is defined as a solemn declaration allowed to those who conscientiously object to taking an oath. An affirmation has exactly the same legal effect as an oath, but is usually taken to avoid the religious implications of an oath. It is thus legally binding, but not considered a religious oath that a person would take before assuming the duties of an office or a position in government or within a religious body. Oaths are often required by the laws of the state, religious bodies, or other organization before the person may actually exercise the powers of the office of an organization. It may be administered at an inauguration, a coronation, enthronement, or other ceremony connected with the taking up of the office itself, or it may be administered privately. In some cases, when it's administered privately and then repeated during a public ceremony, so they had already done the oath or been sworn in privately, and then they'll make it a public thing, a spectacle. Some oaths of office are statements of allegiance and loyalty to a constitution or other legal text, or to a person or office holder. Under the laws of a state, it may be considered treason or a high crime to betray a sworn oath of office. The word oath and the phrase "I swear" refer to a solemn vow. For those who choose not to use the term oath because of a religious conviction, usually use the alternative terms solemn promise or simply "I promise." In the United States federal government, in order for an official to take office, he or she must first take the oath of office. This is also known as a swearing-in ceremony. The official reciting the oath swears an allegiance to uphold the Constitution. The Constitution only spells out an actual oath of office for the president, yet it makes a blanket statement, or could even be referred to as a command, that in Article 2, Section 1, Clause 8, the Constitution states, before he enters on the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation, speaking of the President of the United States. And then Article 6, Clause 3 of the Constitution states, the senators and representatives before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation. So, in answer to my question number 4, does the president-elect have to take the oath to become president? I would have to say yes. And it is set in concrete by the Constitution itself. According to the 20th Amendment, Section 1 to the Constitution, which states the terms of the president and vice president shall end at noon on the 20th day of January, I couldn't find a word on when it starts. I guess deductive reasoning puts the start time at 12 noon, 01 seconds after noon. Of course, we just answered questions 5A and B because Washington, D.C. is on the East Coast and everything is based there. We accept noon as being in the Eastern time zone. With the negative statement found in the 20th Amendment, Section 1 to the Constitution pertaining to the end of the presidency, we have to assume that the positive start of a president's term of office begins at 12 p.m. noon Eastern time zone on January 20th of the year following an election. In my opinion, then, based on this constitutional statement, in my opinion, when asking the question, should we be unyieldingly fanatic about holding to these time points, my answer is a huge, definite yes. The Constitution says noon. Noon. It's written in the Constitution. The word is there. Noon. That means exactly, straight up, 12 p.m. on January 20th. Not 11:50 a.m. and not 12:10 p.m. So why am I being so dogmatic about this? Last Wednesday, January 20th, 2021, President-elect Biden was sworn into office early. Based on first, my wife and I tried to find the swearing in at about a minute till noon. We knew this was going to happen and both of us were busy, but we wanted to get on and watch it live. And we both set our alarms, but yet we were running late. But we got in there and was in front of our internet and looking up what we knew we were going to watch for the inauguration. And we were there at, like, both of us knew, about 1 minute to noon, so we can be there right on time to watch this happen. And it just wasn't there. I mean, the whole ceremony, the inauguration, was already in full force, and the swearing in had already happened. It was already over. Of course, the next day, we find that 3 major news sources posted in articles on the internet, one at NBCnews.com, the other at the Wall Street Journal online, and KTLA5, which is the leading Los Angeles news source. And may I please quote these 3 respectively. NBC said, and I quote in an online article, It says Joe Biden was sworn in as the 46th president of the United States shortly before noon on Wednesday, end quote. The Wall Street Journal online says, and I quote, Joe Biden was sworn in as the 46th president of the U.S. shortly before noon Eastern time on Wednesday, end quote. KTLA online states, and I quote, Biden took the oath of office just before noon Wednesday, end quote. I'd like to say I rest my case, but I'm afraid to most people it really doesn't matter. It does to me. First of all, we missed it. Of course, we can go back. It's all over the internet. You can go watch both Biden and Kamala Harris's inauguration. They're swearing in. You can see it. But it didn't happen at noon when it's supposed to. The Constitution says noon. So if the Constitution says that the swearing in, the oath of office, has to be taken at noon, then to me, it means that President Trump was still president up until noon. And that means that if you are going to do the swearing in before noon, it's just not right. It's just they jumped the gun. It's the President Trump is still president and you're already swearing in a new president. So this is my opinion. Anyway. So all right now. So we've answered question 5C. At least I have to my satisfaction. So now for question number 3, who wrote the executive oath of office? In order to assume his or her duties, the president-elect must recite the oath of office. We've established this fact. According to the Constitution, they must recite the oath of office. The oath is administered by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. The president-elect places his hand on the Bible. Really? The Bible? Still today, thank God, but maybe not. Sometimes watching them swear on their Bibles, I wonder in their minds, which God are they actually swearing to? And doesn't the Bible actually speak against swearing, especially by the things of God, to swear by the things of God? For instance, in Matthew 5:34, but I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, and so on and so forth. Okay, that's another session, some other time. But anyway, the president-elect raises his or her hand. Come on, I gotta say, politically correct. I've got to say his or her right hand, and takes the oath as directed by the Chief Justice. The oath, as stated in Article 2, Section 1, Clause 8 of the U.S. Constitution, is as follows. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So, question number 3, who wrote the executive oath of office? I don't know. It's not signed in the Constitution as who wrote what in the Constitution, but it is straight from the Constitution, word for word. So, where does that oath come from? Straight out, word for word from our Constitution of the United States. Now, the vice president also takes an oath of office. Until 1933, the vice president took the oath of office in the Senate. Today, both the president and vice president are inaugurated in the same ceremony. The vice president's oath is administered immediately before the president's. The vice president's oath may be administered by either the retiring vice president, by a member of Congress, or by some government official, such as a justice of the Supreme Court, the vice president's oath of office is not in the Constitution. It is in the United States Code, Section 331. And the vice president's oath is as follows. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I'm about to enter, so help me God. Now wait, do those oaths sound backwards to you? We read the president's, and I just read the vice president's oath. Don't they? It seems to me like they're backwards, or at least both of them should be saying the same thing, or at least I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, blah, 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 so help me God. All the president had to say is, I will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. Period. Where's the defending against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and the so help me God? It's just not there. It's not in the Constitution. It's not there for the president to have to say. Okay. So in answer to question number 1, did Biden and Harris state the correct oath of office when being sworn in? The answer is yes, they did. But if you ask me, both of them should have said the same thing. They are the highest offices in the world. Come on. It's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. But I still believe that the president should have to say that he'll support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So help me God. I believe that should be in there. I wish it was, but it's not, and it never has been. All right. I brought forth some interesting questions and answered them to the best of my research. All but one. Number 2. Did Obama take the correct oath of office when being sworn in? Do you know the answer to this? The answer is no. What? So was Obama actually president of the United States? I should ask. Remember, we indisputably proved that the president-elect has to swear by the oath of office of the President of the United States as set forth by the Constitution of these United States. I guess the next question should be, does the wording have to be the exact words written in the Constitution? I say emphatically, yes, they do. Even though it's not as much as I think it should, at least those words should be said exactly the way that it's worded. Let me just tell you, on Tuesday, January 20th, 2009, when Chief Justice John Roberts swore in President Barack Obama at his first inauguration, the chief made a small mistake in reciting the oath. The next day, the oath was privately administered without incident. From the Reuters.com website, in an article titled Obama Takes Oath Again After Inauguration Mistake, written by Jeff Mason, and I quote, it says, out of an abundance of caution, U.S. President Barack Obama took the oath of office a second time on Wednesday at the White House. Now, this was his first inauguration. And it was done because a word was out of sequence when he was sworn in on Tuesday. During the ceremony on the steps of the Capitol on Tuesday, Roberts accidentally switched the word order when he administered the oath, saying, "I will execute the office of President to the United States faithfully," instead of "I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States." Obama, who briefly interrupted the Chief Justice by starting the oath before Roberts finished reciting the first part, then repeated back the line as Roberts had said it. On Wednesday, Obama joked with reporters that he wanted to do it again for fun. Not that it was required to have to say it exactly, but he wanted to do it for fun. He says, "We decided, that it was so much fun," quote unquote, Barack Obama. Chief Justice John Roberts, who first administered the oath to Obama on Tuesday on the steps of the U.S. Capitol, administered it again to the president on Wednesday in front of reporters and a few members of the president's staff. "We believe that the oath of office was administered effectively and that the president was sworn in appropriately yesterday," speaking of when they did it the first time on Tuesday, January 20th. Press Secretary Robert Gibbs told a hastily gathered group of journalists, quoting a statement from the White House counsel, Greg Craig, but the quote, and I quote, "But the oath appears in the Constitution itself, and out of an abundance of caution, because there was one word out of sequence, Chief Justice John Roberts will administer the oath a second time," unquote. Then Gibbs ushered reporters into the map room where Obama was waiting, smiling, along with the Chief Justice. Remember, it was fun. The president visited with journalists and then stood next to Roberts and took the oath again. Then Roberts asked him if he was ready to take the oath. "I am. We're going to do it very slowly," Obama said. Obama raised his right hand. Roberts administered the oath in the right order, and Obama repeated it correctly. "Congratulations again," the Chief Justice said after they were finished. "Thank you, sir," Obama replied as staff members applauded. End quote article. End article quote. Am I making a bigger deal out of this than I should? Personally, I don't think so. Let's take a brief look at what the press secretary, Robert Gibbs, told the group of journalists, quoting a statement from White House counsel Greg Craig. And I quote, "We believe that the oath of office was administered effectively and that the president was sworn in appropriately yesterday. But the oath appears in the Constitution itself." Get this. It appears he's saying it appears in the Constitution. That's important. Why would he say it that way if he didn't agree that that was important? And out of an abundance of caution, not because it was fun, like Obama said it was, because out of an abundance of caution, just to make sure. Remember, Obama has now been supposedly the president of the United States for a whole day now, though he didn't actually swear in, right? Because of a mistake, out of an abundance of caution, because there was one word out of sequence. Chief Justice John Roberts will administer the oath a second time, unquote. Sounds like I'm not the only one questioning this. Why didn't anyone else voice a concern? Well, all that's happening, especially here with all that's happening here, especially here in this country, my country, in my opinion, we should be looking at details. Every day we hear a new devastation, a new change, a new executive order, a new riot, a new demonstration, new epidemic, New lies, new cheats, new deceptions, new. Everything is happening constantly. There's just no way any of us can keep up with it. Maybe it's the attention of detail that's being overlooked. Maybe it's the anything goes attitude that we need to stop. Remember, the world is changing. If we play by the old rules, we're going to lose the new battles. Mark my words. Please do your own research on this week's subject, the oath of office. My research for this episode of Our Constitution in the News came from several different articles. One from Ben's Guide at bensguide.gpo.gov. Article 2, Section 1, Clause 8 from Constitution Annotated. Oath of Office from Wikipedia. Obama takes oath again after inauguration mistake from the Reuters website at Reuters.com. NBCnews.com. The Wall Street Journal found at WSJ.com. And KTLA 5 found at KTLA.com. Thank you for joining, and please use the website for all your Messianic media needs. There are over 1,400 Messianic videos at the Lamb Network website, Messianic Media for the Messianic Lifestyle at www.messianiclambnetwork.com. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Our Constitution in the News. I'm Mark David Smith. Stay tuned for my research on Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1 from the Constitution of these United States on contemplating the Constitution.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hugi, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.
Eleanor Roosevelt, do solemnly swear.
I, Dwight D. Eisenhower, do solemnly swear
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States. So help me God.